Jasper Horst's private quarters. Still here?
Here's as good as anywhere.
I want to talk to you about something important.
Really? I can't wait.
Not here. It's too public.
Your place or mine?
Yours is probably safer.
Let's go.
We barely spoke at all on the way over, and there was a certain tension between us. God's help me, I liked it.
Well, we're alone. What did you want to talk to me about?
You've got a lot of smooth moves, Carlotta. You've managed to string me along like a kitten.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about you lying to me, sister. I'm talking about the way you used me to track down Mundy, and how you were planning to cut me out of the action when I found him.
You're paranoid, Luton.
Oh, I know I'm paranoid. But just because I'm paranoid doesn't mean you're not a lying, thieving lowlife. Tell me about the golden sword.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I think you do. And so does Jasper Horst.
You spoke to Horst?
Yes, I spoke to Horst. And he seemed to think that I had possession of the sword. Apparently Mundy had it, only he died before he could deliver it. Horst thinks I killed him and took the sword.
I didn't want you to get involved, Luton. It was too dangerous.
Ah, don't pull the hysterical woman act on me, Carlotta. It won't work.
All right, you got me. I used you. Everybody uses everyone, Luton. It's the way of things. Friendships are just what happens when you've used someone for so long, it becomes habitual.
You're a bitter little lady.
It's a bitter little world. What now?
You tell me everything.
Why?
Because you need me.
I don't need anyone.
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you? But even you aren't totally independent, Carlotta. You need the Count's money, for one. One word from me and I could get you cut off.
He wouldn't dare. He's too bound by tradition.
Perhaps. But can you really afford to take that chance?
What's the deal, Luton?
Straight cut. I'll help you recover the sword. We split the profit.
You think you can trust me enough for that to work?
No, but this isn't about trust. It's about money. You don't trust me any more than you trust Horst. But I figure you'd work with him if it got you the money.
You're smart, Luton, but you've got one thing wrong.
What's that?
I trust you more than I trust Horst.
Oh, I'm touched. But I reckon you'd trust a rattlesnake before you'd trust Horst.
You're a good judge of character.
Hang around with scum long enough and you learn to tell the different types of scum apart. Horst is the treacherous kind.
What about me?
You're just a woman, Carlotta, and that's not a compliment.
Why do you hate women so much?
I hate everyone and everything. No one gets special treatment. Now tell me the real story between you and Mundy.
Mundy wasn't my lover. He was my contact. He was supposed to be bringing the artifact in from Sota, but something went wrong on the way. I don't know what it was, but Mundy never made his rendezvous. I went with Reagan to the wharf to meet him, but he wasn't there.
Who's Reagan?
Tut tut. We have been lax in our investigating.
Just tell me who he is, Carlotta.
Henning's friend, if that's a meaningful word when it comes to the old relic. You should talk to him about Reagan, not me.
Do you know where Reagan is now?
No. He dropped me at the Temple of Small Gods, and that's the last I saw of him.
Did he know what was going on?
Reagan? Ha! No, I never told him anything. Everything I told him would have gone straight to the Count.
Anything else you haven't told me?
I'm sure there's plenty of things I haven't told you. The girl's got to have some secrets.
You're trouble, Carlotta.
Admit it, Luton. You like trouble.
What if I do?
I know what's going on inside of you, Luton. You're just like any other man, only a little more so.
When she kissed me, fire burned in my veins and I felt alive. Have you ever kissed someone who you didn't know whether to love or to hate? Well, other than your parents. Not that I'm prying into your private life, just trying to get my point across. Something changed in me at that point, and I knew I'd never be the same again.
I guess we have a deal then.
With my brains and your looks, we could go places.
What about with my brains and your looks?
We could still go places. They just wouldn't be as nice. I'll see you around, Carlotta.
I hope so.
The von Uberwald's butler. I can't say I liked the man, but he seemed harmless enough.
I see Sir has returned.
Sir has?
Who would Sir like to see?
Is the Count receiving guests?
No, but he will see you.
Your interest in the Mundy case wouldn't have something to do with your missing companion, would it?
Why, Mr. Luton, I'm impressed. You actually do have some detective skills.
What's the deal?
He was my friend. Perhaps my last friend. He was a dwarf of simple tastes, and when I was younger, he drove my carriage for me. These days, given that I am confined to the conservatory, I have no need for a driver, but I kept Reagan on the payroll so that I should have someone to talk to.
When did he go missing?
3 days ago. He took the carriage out that night and has not been seen since.
And you thought Carlotta might have employed me to look for him?
I was hoping, yes.
You could always employ me to find him.
Wouldn't that be a conflict of interests?
I don't see why. Anyway, there isn't a conflict of interest that I know about that couldn't be solved with a generous cash settlement.
Be assured that if you can find Reagan, I can offer you substantial recompense.
Then I'll see what I can do. The Count gave me an iconograph of Reagan to help my investigations. My mind was already racing. 3 days ago, the Milka arrives. 3 days ago, Reagan disappears. Now, I believe in coincidences. Coincidences happen every day. But I don't trust coincidences. Something deeper was going on here, and I was going to find out what. Because I can't stand a secret, and because I have a burning need to find the truth. But mostly, because there was a wad of money in it for me if I found out. I'll be back later.
I look forward to it.
Still here?
Not for much longer, I hope.
Reagan was Count von Uberwald's driver and confidant. He'd paid me to find him, or to find out what had happened to him, and had given me this picture of him to help. I showed Reagan's picture to the first mate, and he recognized it.
Yes, I think that was the dwarf who pulled up in a carriage shortly after we docked. I think he collected some of the cargo, too.
Do you remember which way he went?
He drove away upwards at high speed. I wouldn't be surprised if he caused an accident somewhere down the line.
Well, safe voyage, if that's possible. There was something about the way the other members of the watch looked at me that let me know that no matter how innocent I was still stained with suspicion. Still, I'll take the stains of suspicion over the tarnish of guilt. Suspicion was easier to wash out. Sometimes I think I'd just give up and crawl inside a whiskey bottle. Except that you can only do that if you are less than 1 inch high. Doesn't look like I'm too welcome around here. Of course, I haven't been welcome here since I got kicked off the force, but at least then they just thought I was corrupt. Now they think I'm a murderer.
Nah, Luton, you've got it all wrong. They don't think you're a murderer. They think,
That my personal hygiene is appalling?
no.
That I have the Clutchian plague?
No.
Face it, they think I'm a murderer.
Give me a minute, I'll think of something.
Nobby, you've never thought of something printable in your entire life. Why should you start now? Did anyone report a speeding carriage 3 days ago?
Funny you should ask that. Sergeant Colon was almost run down by a carriage 3 days ago. He's been going on about it ever since. Says we ought to have speed limits for carriages.
How would you tell what speed a carriage was going?
Well, a watchman's instincts are never wrong.
You could always go for a more preventative approach.
Like what?
Well, you could ban carriages altogether.
Yeah, that'd work.
Hey, you could go one step further. You could ban people from Ankh-Morpork, and then there'd be no crime at all.
Well, there'd still be the trolls and the dwarfs, and the gargoyles, and the gnomes, and the undead and the golems. Of course, the golems don't make much crime, and the gargoyles' only crime is Adicide. And it's not like we're short of pigeons. But the trolls and the dwarfs, well, I mean, they make as much crime as any of the humans, maybe even more.
It's no fun when it's this easy. Like shooting fish at a barrel.
Hey?
Never mind. About this carriage the other night. Where did Colon see it?
I think he said it was headed for the Maudlin Bridge.
It wasn't much of a lead, but at least it was something. Usually you could only get a lead out of Nobby with a scalpel. Well, I'm sure I'll be back.
Yeah, right, Luton.
The Maudlin Bridge. The Maudlin Bridge was one of 10 bridges that linked the city of Ankh to the city of Morpork. It was an unremarkable structure, most famous for the number of suicides it attracted. The trouble with trying to drown yourself in the Ankh is that you're more likely to break a leg falling onto the thick crust of the river than actually come near any. Still, if you were heavy enough, you could eventually sink into the depths. I can think of nicer ways to go, though, and much quicker ones, too. I wasn't about to scrape the marks off the bridge. Something had clearly lost control on the bridge. Something with wheels. Beyond that, it was difficult to say. I wasn't strong enough to bend the railings back into shape, and frankly, what would be the point? The railings had been damaged. There was no telling when they'd become damaged, though. It wasn't as if I came this way every day. I doubt many people did. I'd already had to dive onto the Ankh once. I wasn't about to do it again. Besides, the river seemed slightly more liquid here than at the wharf. Well, I use the term liquid loosely. If it wasn't for the fact that it moves faster than the surrounding land, I wouldn't know what to call it. The River Ankh. Probably the only river in the universe on which you could chalk the outline of a corpse. Some fabric had caught on the railings of the bridge.
I see Sir has returned.
Sir has.
Who would Sir like to see?
Is the Count receiving guests?
No, but he will see you.
Ah, Luton. I was hoping you would drop by.
You don't sound so good, Count.
I am Not the man I used to be, that is certain. Past my prime, you might say. Yes, past my prime.
I could come back later if you want.
No. No, there is no guarantee that I will be getting any better. If anything, I might be worse.
Your health?
We are both men of the world, Mr. Luton. I will not mince words with you. I am dying. I might last another year or so, or I might not last the week. And to think I thought Ankh-Morpork would be good for my health.
Not too many people would believe you, certainly.
Let us dispense with the pleasantries and get straight to business. Yes? Yes. Straight to business.
I'd found some fabric caught on the railings of the Maudlin Bridge. It was distinctive enough that I hoped someone would recognize it. Do you recognize this fabric?
Yes. It's familiar. Yes. I remember. It's from the carriage. I liked the carriage. Do you know where it is?
From Reagan's carriage?
Yes. Yes, from the canopy.
That's what I thought. I'll be back later.
I look forward to it.
When the Milka left, someone must have left one of the mooring lines behind. That was careless. Some people will steal anything. If I pride myself on anything, it's that I don't steal without a good reason. Well, I don't steal rope without a good reason. Since Monday's killer had ruined my rope, the grapple wasn't much use. Some people will steal anything, and that includes me, it seems. There was something down there. I was sure of it. But I wasn't strong enough to pull it up. Well, I'm back. Listen carefully, Malachite. I've been patient with you, and you owe me a favor. I need you to use the grapple to pull something out of the river Ankh. I don't know for sure what it is, but it's big. Too big for me to lift. But you could do it, and I figure you owe me one.
Found Therma?
Look, Therma is dead. Remember? We found her in the mausoleum.
Not Therma. Therma alive. Find Therma.
Look, she is dead. Get used to it.
Not dead. Find Therma.
All right, you big dumb troll. I'll carry on looking for Therma if you help me get this thing out of the river. Do we have a deal?
I pull thing. You find Therma.
Yes. You scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. Or something. Whatever you want scratched, within reason.
Don't want scratching. Find Therma.
Okay. You pull thing, I find Therma. Got it?
Need grapple.
That may be the first intelligent thing you've said to me. Ready now?
You lead.
With pleasure. I hadn't been able to move whatever it was in the river, Malachite pulled it up onto the bridge like it was made of paper. I wasn't surprised to learn it was Reagan's carriage, but it still wasn't clear how it ended up going off the bridge. Amidst the wreckage, I found a small ornamental box. But before I could examine it in detail, Malachite took an interest. I didn't want to give it to him, but he looked like he'd rupture a fault line if I didn't. He kept insisting that the box proved that Therma was alive, or at least that's my best interpretation of what he was trying to say. With his usual annoying habit, Malachite just walked off, taking the box with him. That left me to get back to my usual habit of not really knowing what was going on. One thing had been bugging me since I'd found Reagan's body. In the iconograph that the Count had given me, Reagan was bald. Here, in the flesh, Reagan had a full head of hair. I had to pull hard on his toupee to get it off. Reagan must have glued it on to stop it from flying off as he drove the carriage. Underneath the toupee was a small key. I guess it must have been important, or he wouldn't have glued it to his head. What's the game?
Truncheon. Interested, stranger?
The name's Luton. What are the stakes?
Minimum stake is $1 a hand. House limit is 10,000 per hand.
I'm in. Here's my $1.
Hey, big spender.
Whirl told me how to play the game. Something to do with the major arcana and the private arcana. The major arcana had strange names like the Fool, the Pyrophant, and the unbelievable expense of a slice of cheese. Essentially, it seems I just had to stay under 21 and get as high as I could. It all seems pretty whimsical to me.
It's a whimsical world.
What happens in a tie?
I win.
That doesn't seem fair.
I'll note that down in the complaints book, shall I? Player thinks the odds might be stacked in favour of the house.
I didn't really know what I was doing, but I expected to lose my $1 anyway, so I didn't worry about it. But someone else at the table seemed pretty worked up about what I was doing.
That isn't the way to play it.
Why not?
Because it isn't the way to win.
Is there a way to win?
Well, there's a way to lose more slowly.
What's it to you?
I've seen enough losing. I don't want to see any more.
I only bet $1.
No, it's the principle of the thing.
What do you think?
I'm just a croupier. I'm not paid to think.
I lost my $1, but I reckon I got value for money. And hey, the cards were pretty. Do you know a troll named Sapphire?
Oh, I'm just a simple croupier. I wouldn't know anything important. And if I did, I certainly wouldn't give it away for nothing.
I guess you don't like to give away anything for free.
When you've worked in a casino as long as I have, you learn that you don't get anything for nothing.
Do you own this place?
Saturnalia? No, you gotta be kidding.
Who owns it?
I don't really know. Probably a whole group of people. For all I know, no one owns it, and it just keeps ticking over all on its own.
Is that likely?
Frankly, I don't really care. As long as I get paid, it's all the same to me.
Don't you have an inquisitive mind?
No. I find people with inquisitive minds don't live too long.
My purse might not have been my most valued possession, but I sure felt happier when it was full than when it was empty. Do you know what this is?
It looks like a purse.
I think I have something of yours in it.
Really? Oh, yes, so you do. And what do you know, my memory is suddenly much improved.
I thought it might be. You know a troll named Sapphire, don't you?
Yeah, I know Sapphire. She's a good customer. Always plays with cash. Never wins anything. Some trolls aren't born lucky, I guess.
She never wins?
She wins a little, but she always loses it again. She can't hold on to money. Few people can in this place. By the time she walks out the doors, she's always a loser.
Is there any chance she could have won big and you wouldn't know about it?
If she won it here, I'd know about it.
Reagan had a small key under his toupee. It was basically glued onto his head, so I guess it was important to him. Now your pockets are a little fuller. Does this key mean anything to you?
Yeah, I know what it is. It's a safety deposit key for the boxes here in Saturnalia.
Thanks. I'd learned from Saturnalia that Sapphire was suffering from a long-running losing streak. Time to excuse myself from the table, I think. I guess an upmarket establishment like Saturnalia needed safety deposit boxes. They certainly needed them more than I did. I figured a really good private investigator could do a lot of painstaking research and work out which box belonged to Reagan. But I figured, hey, the guy's a dwarf. So I just tried all the lockers on the bottom row. It fitted into box 39 like a glove. Eventually. Inside was an envelope and a bracelet with carved wooden charms. The plot thickened, and you could already stand a spoon-up in it. The Temple of Small Gods. The Temple of Small Gods was Ankh-Morpork's unique concession to all the thousands, perhaps millions, of small gods that the Discworld was home to. Most of the gods were so small they never got worshipped. The spirits of lonely trees, or the places where two ant trails crossed, and they stayed that way because they lacked belief. Give a god belief, 1 follower or 10 or 10,000, and it grows up from the void into whatever fanciful deity its followers devise. Everyone knows that people need gods to blame for everything that is wrong, or praise for everything that is right. But they forget that every god needs people, too. Inside the temple, a bazaar of fanatics, lunatics, and cultists of all descriptions were trying to sell their faith to prospective followers. 2 salvations for the price of 1. The lost and the lonely came here seeking direction. I found it hard to picture Carlotta amongst their number. Malaclypse drew attention to himself by virtue of the lack of crowds around him. Even the followers of Flatulus had a small crowd, but for some reason no one wanted to talk to him. It looked as if he had a metal fish hung around his neck. Who do you worship, then?
Why do you want to know? Who sent you? What do you want?
My name's Luton. I'm a private investigator.
You've been sent by the elucidated brethren of the Ebon Knight to silence me, haven't you? Their plots are so transparent. It won't work. I have protection.
There isn't an elucidated brethren of the Ebon Knight anymore. They were forcibly disbanded.
Disbanded?
By a dragon, as it happens.
Ah, that's what they want you to think. That was all faked, so that they could eliminate all their traitors and go underground. Even as we speak, they are plotting to control the patrician by putting mind-altering drugs in the palace's water supply.
Then it's true. I'd heard that you were the only other person who really knew what was going on.
What do you want?
I just want to learn from you. Only you can teach me what is really going on in Ankh-Morpork.
You don't fool me.
I don't?
You just want to steal all my knowledge and then use it to further your plans of glory.
Ah, but I know that you know that, and you know that I know that. Which means we're at a stalemate. And since you know more than me, you have the advantage in a stalemate, which means that ultimately you'll beat me.
Yes! Yes! I see. You plan to try and use me, don't you? Well, many have tried to use Malekith, and I have beaten them all.
No, I can't hide anything from you, can I?
Very well, I will let you, for as long as it serves my purposes to do so. What did you wish to know?
Which deity do you serve?
That's a big question. Which deity do you serve?
I don't serve any deity.
Then I don't serve any deity either.
I'll tell you mine if you tell me yours.
Right. You first.
I serve...
You didn't finish.
I am forbidden by an oath of loyalty never to speak aloud the name of the person of her.
The ancient mystic order of... Yes, I know all about you. I know every conspiracy turnwise of the Wormberg, and all but one conspiracy hubwards of the Great Neff.
Your turn.
I am the proud servitor of Errata, the goddess of misunderstandings, the mistress of mayhem, the countess of confusion, and the duchess of discord.
You know, sometimes I think I'm her servitor, too.
You get a free gold-plated apple if you join this week.
You said you knew all but one conspiracy, hubwards of the Great Neff. What's the one conspiracy you don't know?
If I knew that, I would know all the conspiracies, wouldn't I?
You don't know anything about that one conspiracy?
Nothing.
Then how do you know that there is another conspiracy?
Because when I put all the other conspiracies together, I can see the pieces missing.
In other words, you can tell there's a conspiracy because you can't see it.
Everything casts a shadow, Newton. At least of some kind.
What if the missing pieces are a ruse by one of the conspiracies you do know about to try and distract you from paying attention to what they're doing?
No, that's too far-fetched.
Tell me about the goddess Errata.
There is no goddess greater than Errata. Have you not looked at the world and seen all the confusion and misunderstanding? Well, who do you think put it there? It didn't happen by chance. Nothing ever happens by chance.
So, every misunderstanding that has ever happened, Errata was behind them all.
Yes. She has started wars, and she has ended wars. Millions have died for the glory of Errata.
And presumably most of them believe they were dying for something else.
Oh, yes, the goddess is shrewd in her ways.
She must be very powerful.
There is no goddess more powerful than Errata.
Then why doesn't she just make everyone into her follower?
Let me tell you something, Luke. Everyone is a follower of Errata. They just don't know it.
How come you know that you're a follower of Errata?
I only think I'm a follower of Errata. I might be a follower of someone else, and I wouldn't even know it.
Errata thinks of everything, doesn't she? So is there a formal church of Errata?
I am the formal church of Errata. I hold her sacred emblem.
And what would that be?
The scarlet totem that I wear around my neck.
And how do you go about joining the church?
I told you. Everyone is part of the Church of Errata. They just don't know it.
I don't know why Reagan kept a charm bracelet in his safety deposit box, but I guess he wanted to keep it safe. Does this charm bracelet mean anything to you?
Well, it's a Gluckding carved out of serendipitous redwood from Uberwald, I guess.
What does it do?
It brings luck.
Good luck or bad luck?
Both. First, it brings good luck. Little stacks of felicitous circumstances. But sooner or later, the wielder pays for any good luck with a massive dose of bad luck. A giant omelette of doom delivered by a mad god.
Great. A mad god's omelette. Do you want it?
Are you insane? Give it to someone who's desperate.
I'll have to go. The truth is out there.
Trust no one.
I've got some more questions for you, Sapphire.
Sapphire busy. Leave her alone.
So, you won this money at the races?
No, not at races. At casino.
Oh, yeah, that's right. At the casino. So, you won this money at the races?
Not at race.
Oh, at... I hear you had a mysterious meeting not too long ago. Not long after, you turn up with a lot of money. Sounds like an awfully big coincidence to me.
Stop harassing Sapphire. Already told Luton. Won the money at Saturnalia.
Right. I know about your problems.
Problems?
The debts. The huge losses. You're struggling just to keep your head above water. I bet you've had to make all kinds of nasty compromises just to keep yourself going.
What you talking about? Who been saying such things about me?
Does it matter?
It mattered to Sapphire.
All right. I heard it from Whirl, and he should know.
Huh. Whirl. He don't know everything goes on at Saturnalia.
So, you won a lot of money at the casino.
Yes. Already told ya. Big win.
You won big at the casino, but no one at the casino seems to remember you winning.
They lie. Sapphire won big.
And this mysterious meeting as well. You say that had nothing to do with the money.
Forget about meeting. Meeting not important.
Not important, eh? I think it is. I say you met with someone and they gave you the money. Someone who had something to hide. Someone who'd pay good money to keep it quiet. Who was it, Sapphire?
No one.
It wasn't no one who paid you, Sapphire. It was someone who was interested in me, wasn't it? Someone who didn't want me digging around after Therma. Why? What's so important that someone would pay you to cover up for them? Who is it?
No one.
You'd better tell me, because I'm going to find out one way or another. And if you don't tell me, when I find out who it is, I'll tell them you told me where to find them.
No. She'll kill me.
Who? Who'd kill you?
Therma. It was Therma. I've been blackmailing Therma. She not want to be found.
Therma is still alive?
Yeah?
Good. Arrange a meeting with her for me.
What?
You heard me. Face it, Sapphire, your little scam is broken. If you want me to keep quiet about your little windfall, you're going to have to fix a meeting with Therma for me.
Therma won't do it.
Well, you'd better make her do it, because otherwise I'm going to go straight to the Guild of Thieves, Burglars, and Allied Trades to tell them about you. They don't take kindly to unlicensed blackmail.
You do that to me?
Look into my eyes and tell me if I'm bluffing.
All right. Give me some time. I'll leave message at your office when it arranged.
I look forward to it. It's a pleasure doing business with you, Sapphire.
You're a cold one, Luton.
Not as cold as you, I reckon. I decided to leave Sapphire alone after that. I'd got what I wanted.
I see Sir has returned.
Sir has?
Who would Sir like to see?
Is the Count receiving guests?
No, but he will see you.
I've got a few more questions for you, Count.
Yes, questions. Go on.
I thought I'd better break the news of Reagan's death to the Count before asking any questions about Reagan's things. I'm afraid I have some bad news for you.
It's Reagan, isn't it? He's dead.
I'm afraid so. I found his carriage near the Maudlin Bridge. It must have lost control and skidded into the river. Reagan must have drowned, or suffocated. It's hard to say with a river like the Ankh.
Very well, of course. I will pay you for your time. If you should hear anything else in connection with this case, please let me know. Otherwise, consider the case closed.
There is one thing. I think Reagan may have been involved with a trawl singer named Therma. I'm not really sure about the details. I'm sort of investigating the Therma case at the moment. But since I'm not getting paid for it, I may have to give it up.
Indeed. How would you feel if I were to pay you for the Therma case and you continued to investigate it?
I'd feel a little bit richer and a lot happier.
Very well. It's agreed.
Recognize this?
Yes, I do. It is Reagan's charm bracelet. I gave it to him.
Is there something special about it?
It's been in the family for years. I'm not sure where it came from, but I believe that the charms were carved from the wood of the serendipitous redwood.
What?
They were very, very old trees, and they grew very tall. Up to a mile, if the texts can be believed. The trouble was they were very top-heavy, and the slightest wind would knock them over.
How did they grow so tall?
That was the thing, you see. They'd fall over, but they were unbelievably lucky. They'd prop themselves up against each other like a house of cards.
Lucky trees?
Oh, believe me, as a student of flora, I have seen many such strange things evolve. Strangeness is indigenous to the Discworld.
What happened to the redwoods?
Someone cut one down, and the rest came down like dominoes. They crushed the fellow with the axe, I believe.
I guess they weren't so lucky for him. I'll be back later.
I look forward to it.
I knew that someone had pushed the card under the door, and I knew what it meant. It meant that I should have fitted a letterbox.
Have arranged meeting with Therma on the rooftops at the junction of Sally Street and Phaedra Road. Come immediately.
Salis and Phaedra. There wasn't much around there. Nice and quiet.